Hi there, my name is Bob Langer and I'm here to provide you with another interesting segment of antiques, art, and valuables. The most interesting and explosive art market in the world today is not the United States, it's China. China has an estimated 115 billionaires. They are second to the United States. 3% of the world's population of millionaires live in China. All of this despite the fact that the average wage in China is 54 cents per hour. There are more than 60 million collectors of antiques and art in China. And the most watched weekly television show is watched by 30 million people. The name of the show is Xian Shi Shao Kong, which translates to Antique Roadshow. If an item shown on that roadshow is found to be a fake or a reproduction, the item is destroyed on camera. Someone comes in with a hammer and smashes it up. Now, if the item was found to be real, I don't know how you say oops in Chinese, but they're pretty good at determining what is real and what is fake. Today we are going to explore the antique and art market in China through U.S. auction houses and to show what has happened to Chinese art. Incidentally, the Chinese government several years ago issued a statement to its population saying that it is their patriotic duty to bring back to China their cultural heritage. And that cultural heritage are most items in excess of 100 years old. To demonstrate what's happening in the auction market here in New York, and this will represent items sold in the United States through other auction houses, I'm going to provide some examples of what the Chinese art market is doing in U.S. auction houses. Here is a piece of white jade, 18th century, 6 inches by 4 inches, which a New York auction house estimated to bring $10,000 to $15,000. Instead, it sold for $80,000. A Huang Li wooden cabinet from the 19th century, 6 inches tall, was estimated to bring $10,000 to $20,000 at auction. It brought an astounding $181,000, a record price for a piece of wood of this nature. This is really an ordinary bronze censer. Many of them, which bring big prices, are inlaid with silver and have a dynasty mark. This had neither. It was estimated to bring $5,000 to $7,000 at auction, and it sold for $44,000. Here is a photo of a brush pot, 8 inches by 6 inches. I don't know if you could see the crack in the brush pot. A prominent New York house thought it would bring $4,000 to $6,000. It was estimated to be made anywhere between 1875 and 1908. It brought an astounding $59,000. This is a 20th century vase It's called a Hu shape, Hu shape, 12 inches tall. It went not to a major auction house, but a minor auction house. They thought it would bring $2,000 to $3,000, and it sold for $28,000. This is a Celadon. It's a photo of a Celadon piece, 18th century, which was found in the cupboard of a home in upstate New York, and it was used to hold flowers. The parents had passed away, and the children were disposing of the items in the house. An auctioneer came in, and the auctioneer said that he felt it would bring $25,000 to $40,000 because he unmistakably believed it was made for a kiln. It was made in a kiln for the Emperor Yangzhen, which would bring it to the 18th century. And he optimistically placed an estimate on it for $25,000 to $40,000. It brought $450,000. Another astounding piece of work was found in the attic of a farmhouse outside of London. An auctioneer was called in, and they looked at it. This is what's known as a reticulated piece of Chinese work. This was 12 to 13 inches tall. By reticulated, here's an example of a reticulated piece. The skill of the potter has an inside work and then an outside work, and he delicately performs incisions into the clay. This one is done with squares and rectangles. This happens to be Korean. It's a signed Korean piece, but it's simply an example of what a reticulated piece is. The auctioneer put a price on this of $3,000 to $4,000. It sold for $69 million. This is what's happening to the Chinese art market. It is amazingly active. It leads the pack worldwide in all kinds of art. It's starting to bring impressionist art prices. How long will it last? Nobody knows. But China shows no sign of stopping. It is an absolute boom. If anyone out there in BallenIsles has Chinese art, I would suggest hold, because it's going up exponentially. The real question is, how long will it be until US and European markets run dry? We don't know. Now, we have a letter dropped off at BICA, very complimentary, but I'll go on to the second paragraph. I have several items from my mother's estate. These were brought over from Europe and undoubtedly have increased in value many times over. If I sell them at auction, are they taxable as capital gains? How do I establish a 100-year-old value? Well, first of all, I'm not qualified to give advice on taxes. I would strongly suggest you check with your accountant. I would have to know more about the items you have in order to make a sounder judgment as to what its value is worth today versus 100 years ago. Many, many items have gone up tremendously well, especially impressionistic art. You don't indicate what kind of art you have, but if you could drop off another letter with some photos, I'll be very happy to provide a judgment value. Now, before we end this segment, I'd like to go over several items which residents have left with us for an appraisal. These items, I was told, were picked up in 1958 in Central America. Actually, they're from the San Blas Islands. They're made by the San Blas Indians in Panama. And they represent animals, fish, and they also represent spirits of the animal kingdom. There are two here which I find extremely interesting. One happens to look like precursors for Keith Haring drawings, especially this one. I would estimate the value on these to be in the area of $300 to $500 each. The entire collection, in my opinion, is worth between $3,000 and $5,000. The Christmas stockings, which another resident dropped off, told me that they were purchased in Haiti in the 1950s. They are really quite beautiful. The quality is much better than anything you see today from China. They're made very delicately, they're made extremely well, and I would place a value on each of them $35 to $50. I hope you've enjoyed this segment, and I look forward to the opportunity of seeing you next time. Thank you and have a great day.